Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are the City of Shelbyville, Mayor and City Council Budget Workshop. And it is Thursday, June the 4th. It's about noon, and we are in the council chambers down here. Our call to order, I'll bring everyone to order right now, and then I'll ask for the second item, public comments. Do we have any?
No.
Okay. All right, then the next item is our City of Shelbyville fiscal year 2027 budget discussions. And Scott, are you going to take the lead on this?
Well, thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
We would like our city treasurer to open it up, and
Okay.
then we'll kind of piggyback off each other as we move through the process.
Sounds great. Thank you. Okay, you're up.
Well, I was thinking Ginger would kick it off.
Pass the buck. High school, somebody.
Okay. We'll just start with this page, which I'm not gonna read the whole thing, obviously. I'm not in first grade here, but, these are just some notes that kind of go along with the budget notebook. I'll just hit a few of the high points, I guess. Of course, the notebook, when this was sent out, there's no raises in it. There's some things that aren't in it. So that first part that says the fund balance is on page 1 and the cash balance is on page 2, those don't reflect the pay study. Of course, those will be updated depending on what y'all recommend. The next section in the notebook, the general fund summary, that just shows all the revenues, expenditures, transfers, and how we anticipate ending up the year with the fund balance. And of course, we always try to budget so that we gain money. And what I mean by that is, y'all, typically revenues come in more than you project, maybe at 105%, and you hope expenditures are like 95%. So you always gain typically a couple million. Now, that's always an estimate, but that's all you can do is estimate. The highlighted section there, the city does have a fund balance policy that was passed a number of years ago. And the goal is to have a 20% fund balance of the general fund operating expenses. Right. So this budget sent out with no increases, not the extra animal control and things like that, was at 27.3%. In the red there, right below that, if we add the 1.4 million number for the pay study, it would drop it to 22%, but that still exceeds the 20% target. Then the property tax, y'all probably saw that in the front pocket of the notebook, is how we calculated the property tax estimated revenue based on the preliminary certified tax rate of 1.003. I think the county equalization board is meeting now where people can go and question their appraisals. After that, they'll do whatever they do, send it to the state board of equalization. They will be the ones that finally make it an official final certified tax rate. So this 1.003 could possibly change up or down depending on how that goes, but I don't think it'll change much. I would be surprised if it changed much. So what's in the budget right now is keeping the tax rate the same. And by tax, it's not the rate the same, but the revenues are the same. So what $1.48 brought in last year, in theory, the 1.003 will bring in next year. So that's kind of how that works. And let me go ahead and say this since I just brought that up. Another item in your stack there is called adopting the budget during a reappraisal year. That's kind of fun reading.
Yeah.
But on page 3, I've got it highlighted. I mean, I'm sure y'all all probably already know this, but on page 3, it's kind of a nice little explanation of, if a taxpayer says, well, my taxes went up. Well, the certified tax rate keeps the total revenues in the county the same. There may be individual people that go up or down.
Right.
So this just kind of has a nice little explanation. It's from the comptroller's office about how you can answer that question. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you. Any questions on the first page? Or?
Yeah, we just changed.
Everybody clear on that? Pat?
With the reappraisal going up, even though the tax rate's going down, we still may see an increase.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I calculated that you are allowed, due to growth, we're going up about 225,000, even with the certified tax rate, because you're allowed to estimate for growth, true growth. So, yes, about 225,000 we gained from the, growth. I'm glad you said that because I forgot to mention that. Okay, y'all want to go to page 2? Another item in your packet today, we had another month of sales tax we could share with you. So that spreadsheet has been updated. Local option sales tax is pretty much even to last year over the same period, 0.15%. However, we need to keep in mind that, say last year was a real big year. If you're just maintaining that this year, that's still not bad. So it just compares this period to last year. State sales tax is up 3.85%. Yes, I'm sorry.
And,
Let me take a breath.
yeah, that covers.
Okay.
I want to interject, the local option sales tax and state sales tax, if you will recall, during our last 2 audits, they spoke that now our local option and our state sales tax have moved ahead of collections on property taxes. That means the actions that the city council is doing in recruiting the new retail stuff is lessening the burden on the property.
He does reduce that burden on the property taxes. Thank you, Scott, for letting everybody know that.
Let's tax the tourists. Spend money and come back next year. Okay, under sales tax is the debt administration. I didn't talk about every single tab. We can discuss any department you want to. These are just highlights. But under the debt on page 8, after we make a payment during this next fiscal year, we will have 0 debt related to capital outlay notes. Now, I did put in red there, we'll still have some long-term lease obligations for police body cams, car cameras, and software. So we're not 100% debt-free, but we are as far as capital outlay notes. And I didn't research this. I'm not sure if the city's ever had bonds. I don't know if anybody knows that or not. I know the power system has bonds that we issue for them, but I don't know that answer, but we don't have any right now.
We technically did a bond for the rec center,
Okay,
and we paid it off like 15 years.
okay. All right. So I wasn't sure.
The Amorisco, whatever, is that gone now?
Let me see if that's, yes, because the only one left is the industrial park. So yes, Amorisco's gone. I think it went away this year. I think it was like 55,000 on the industrial park purchase. And then pages 9 through 36 is just all the different tab departments. If you have any specific questions about those, we'll be glad to let the departments answer or us or whatever. Nonprofits are on page 37. The actual letters from them are in the back notebook pocket. We had a typo on a couple of them. In your stack is the library. The request didn't change, but when it mentioned how much the increase was, that changed. It was just a mathematical thing. So the updated letter is in your stack today. Also on the senior citizens, I noticed last night, and I should have noticed it before, but they just want to ask for the same amount as this year. They got 25,000 this year, but they used a version of a letter from a prior year that says 20,000. So I'm sure they don't want to go down from 25 to 20. I think they still want the same amount, 25,000.
So they didn't ask for it.
It wasn't in the letter. It said same as last year at 20,000, but really the same as this year by 25. So, and I called Sonia today. She's out sick, so.
Okay.
But I'm confident they're not going to say yes, please, reduce it by 5,000.
Okay.
Okay, and then we just have several funds, the next group there, let's see. we'll get to some things about those funds here in a minute. And then we're ready to go back to the capital part if you want to. Are there any departments there in between that you wanna talk about? If not, yeah, because, yeah, well, I mean, do y'all wanna go department by department? How do you wanna do it? I know capital and personnel are definitely gonna be discussions. And then I've got over here on the third page of the notes today, where we talk about some, projects. Let's just do the third page real quick. This will answer a couple questions. Some of this is redundant, but, the current property tax rate is 148, preliminary certified rate is 1.003. The amount of revenue generated by 1 penny on the, tax rate is 88,658. Now that's allowing for a 5% delinquency. So if somebody asks, how much does the penny bring in? If you allow for a 5% delinquency, it's 88,658. Just a reminder again that this book that was given out a month or so ago doesn't have raises in it. Also, this notebook and the numbers in it do not include that enhanced services and facility and so forth for animal control. We were waiting for the council to give us direction on that before we put it in.
Can we stop there, Carrie? Let's go ahead. Since we're flying through, let's start with a decision we need to make. We got that letter a few months ago, maybe, the
And it's in the
proposal on
notebook,
animal
too.
control. It's in the notebook.
Yeah.
I think we should discuss that. I don't think that
It's
is.
page 25.
And I'll speak for myself, and anybody else can speak if wants to. I don't think that's the direction we want to go. Nothing against, we understand animal control is a big need, but that is going to put our local animal control budget way out of line with a lot of the other ones that we check with. We really need to be looking at, and I know this is going to be a post-election issue, but we need to be looking for a way to work with the county on animal control and get some kind of a combined service. It's sooner rather than later. Much bigger counties, Rutherford, Putnam, a bunch of them, they do it under a joint model. It's saving both government bodies money that way. For us to throw a bunch of money at it and then have the county throwing a bunch of money at it is not a good long-term solution for animal control. So I think for purposes of this budget, myself personally, anybody else can speak, I want to stay where we're at until we can get to the point that we can work on some kind of a joint model, maybe even later this calendar year if we could. Yeah.
Josh.
Would it possibly be a consideration to request the county and work with the city to do an ad hoc committee and go ahead and start now, because there's gonna be a lot of activity this summer and into the fall. But perhaps if this mayor and council would appoint 3 members and then ask our friends across the street to appoint 3 members and go ahead and start having the discussion. Because this will not be an overnight business.
I don't mind doing that. I just know from having quite a few friends across the street there that they're 3 months out of a big change in personnel over there, and I'm afraid they may not want to start yet. But we can certainly start the discussion.
Right.
Yeah, there's going to be a big turnover there, and September 1.
I agree with Josh on that. I do think that we are one of the few that have the 2 separate entities within a county. Most of them handle it on a countywide basis, but I know that there's a lot of things that we have to work through as far as the ability to handle the city calls, et cetera.
I'm not sure how that would work though. Is that demolishing or just combining? Are you?
Rob, best case scenario, just in my world, just me personally, would be if we could get a new facility up near the current jail where we could have some trustee help on taking care of the animals, as well as both of us need a bigger facility. The county's outgrown their facility. I believe we've pretty much outgrown our facility. Some kind of a joint effort where we're in half and half or whatever the percentages are, and working on the problem together, so we don't have two departments that are sitting inside the same city. One, like in my neighborhood, if an animal's across outside of, 2 yards over from mine, you have to call the county. We're right on the line.
Right.
So if the dog's over here, you got to call one person. If the dog's over here, you got to call another person. So, yeah, it's just crazy the way that we've been doing it. So,
Almost like combining the two together under one organization, but with a different structure.
yeah.
Um,
You can get
Potentially-
more nonprofit help that way. Like Putnam County does this. They've actually saved money in their city and their county because they have so many outside animal agencies that are contributing volunteer help that they're in it like $100,000 or $200,000 a year. Their two governments are, and the rest is handled by nonprofits. So something to that effect to save taxpayer money.
So what money for this upcoming budget are we?
Just hold. I would recommend holding where we're at, other than our normal raises and rather than doing a big expansion, which was the other thing we were presented with.
And then therefore, when we're doing that, and kind of with this committee, hopefully we'll address the whole foul issue as well. And how to handle the foul in the city.
Yeah.
Since we still have a couple that we can't.
Henry has something just about to come out of his mouth, I can tell.
I've been proposing that we should have a committee between the city and the county. We had this years ago when we started the partnership at that time. We had three, I think, from the county and 3 from the city. And once that, no, it was on the industrial park and everything. We easily wanted to transition that into what we call shared services, is what the group had requested from the city and the county. The city did pass it at the time to keep it going forward. The county did not. So anyway, but things just like that school sales tax lawsuit we're in right now. I think we probably could have settled that at the table if we'd have gotten face to face, but they didn't want to get face to face. So anyway, that's a lawsuit. But to avoid those kind of things, I think there's a lot of shared services. The animal control is a specific one. And for your example, Josh, where you have to call the county, who's right outside, right in your backyard, more or less, to get that dog, you as a city taxpayer are already paying roughly half that budget for the animal control outside the city. You're paying 100% of the budget for the one inside the city. So those kind of shared services, that's a small example, but we've got several of those that this committee, I would like to address, even if we don't agree on anything, to educate the public and educate both sides that, it always seems like when the county needs revenue, they come looking for the city to contribute.
Yeah.
But we're already contributing roughly half the budget the county has right now based on appraised values, population. It's within a few percentage points of 50% either way. So those are the kind of understandings we need to say when somebody says, well, it's the county that needs to do it. I live in the county. Everyone in this room lives in the county.
Yeah.
So even though we may be inside the city limits, but we're not treated that way sometimes. So I'm not wanting to start a fight, but I want to start a discussion and an education process. And that's why I'd love to see that committee form.
Yeah. And that got way broader than you needed, Kay. But I think the answer you need for budget purposes is stay where we're at on animal control, other than
I like it.
endless.
One kind of consensus line on animal control.
Well, as you mentioned, it's not an overnight thing. And it's a process, a lot of moving parts and such. And as I see this broken down for the $5,800 for the, I guess, and some of these operational expenses. So I guess no one really agrees to go ahead and do that.
I wouldn't start collecting chickens at this point now.
Well, the reason I say that too is because we have 1 or 2 that the ordinances aren't working for.
Yeah, that's part of it.
That's a lot of money. I mean, not that they're not important, because they are. We've got to figure out how to help with their situations, but, to have 1 or 2 roosters or fowl picked up, every quarter to put in these, when the ordinance is, if we go to the people that actually own the animals and get them to either get rid of them, if we follow through and get rid of them, like they're supposed to, then, you know, it just seems like a lot of money to put. If we can find out who owns these particular homes in that area.
On this proposal, the one thing I do think may be important, this may be a Pat question, the incinerator with the issue of disposal, do we have an alternative until that can be figured out? What are we doing? I know we lost
We've
that.
been working with Public Works right now,
Okay.
and they've agreed to help us out in the buying, but
At some point, we'll need a solution on that. You just have some.
Yes. Right now, that is included in the capital budget.
The incinerator is,
Yes,
okay.
It is part
Right.
of, that's one of the few things that made the cut, proposed cut in capital. Because not only can it take care of the situation with the animals, but it can also help us with record destruction and several of them. It'll be multi-use, not just simply carcass.
Could we not change the ordinance? Or would it make a difference?
In what way would you propose changing it?
The capture and storage of the roosters, but we can't spend the money to house or bed the roosters.
So, I mean, we don't capture storm. You said you want to add that to the ordinance?
No, we would require a change. If we get all of that stuff, which we're not doing that.
Right.
But we have had, if I may, Mayor,
Yes.
we have had a lot of success. I mean, a year or two ago, we had get several complaints.
Yeah.
And the office up on the hill, there's only one reoccurring complaint at this time. People are being cited to court, or they're agreeing, once they realize they're in violation, the roosters are prohibited, they're agreeing to go and get rid of it. So we've had a significant amount of success. But, you know, if there's still one though, we still need to try to do it, and we're trying. We can just locate the owner.
And the thing is, we can cite them and send them to court, but we can't guarantee that they're gonna get, not convicted, but get, found guilty when they get into it. You know, it's up to the legal system at that point in time as to what the judge feels like they have to do. 'Cause we have, you know, sent many to court.
Well, the more important thing is municipal court does not have the authority to
Right.
make them get rid of.
Correct.
They use the fines as a leverage. I will not impose these fines upon you if you voluntarily give up the animal. That's how municipal court works on a lot of issues. So there's no direct order, you must get rid of it or something happens to you.
So do you think
It's like a
that,
fine.
do you think that system works well?
Hmm?
Do you think that system works well?
Overall, usually you do have, I mean, a pretty good high rate of bringing people in compliance, but you always have people who just, you know, stubborn, and don't want to do it. On
Well, they-
various issues.
Yeah.
Or they
Various
get rid of
issues.
it and then they'll get them.
I mean, we have that on codes violations. I mean, we all know. That's just part of it. Those things just take a lot more time and effort on those type of cases, but usually most people do bring themselves into compliance. So.
Any more discussion on that? Okay, thank you, everybody. All right, Kay, did you have the floor, Scott?
All right, back to that back page, number 6. Just want to point out that $1.225 million is included in the proposed budget as a transfer from the general fund to State Street Aid to help fund $1.55 million in street paving next year, and that's an increase from $1,150,000 this year. So I think the council had made reference to the fact they were interested in doing more paving. So this is just proposed, but that's the proposal there. I'm not sure if years in the past we did it. The only time I'm aware of it is the last 2 years we've transferred $500,000 from the general fund to paving. And this year, and I might have to reference Henry, but this year, you know, if we're planning to or proposing to move 1.2 million to try to get some more paving done. Also, in the State Street Aid Fund, we're including for the first time that I'm aware of, 100,000 for traffic signal upgrades. That's something I think they're wanting to start in unison with the power system. And then I just wanted to point out, items 8 and 9, the flood pump project and the soccer field project, both of those are fully budgeted in the proposed budget in the capital projects fund. So, hopefully those two will finish up this next year. We'll wait and see, but, so that's that. The second, I don't know if I'm doing this in a very good order, but these are random thoughts.
Can I stop you just a moment?
Yes, sir.
We talked about the signals, the traffic signals. My understanding is Shelbyville Power, Water and Sewer does the repair and things on those, and we're running out of parts
Yes,
to fix the traffic signal, so we're gonna have to update. That's a requirement we're gonna have to take care of. So I wanted to get that out to the public so they know what's going on.
and Mayor, this will probably be reoccurring for the next couple
Yes.
of budgets
Yeah.
until we get rid of the antiquated lights replaced with more modern.
Thank you, Kathy. Go right ahead.
Also, just real quick, while we're there, before we get off, the paving, I'm good with that. Another thing we've got to look at is we may or may not have Union Street stuff we have to do this year, so having extra in the budget is not a bad decision, just in case that comes up this budget year, depending on how that development goes on that side down.
Gotcha.
And that does not include cemetery. It's cemetery stands alone when it comes to the paving.
Yes, and there's some, I think there's 40,000 in capital.
Yeah.
For paving at the cemetery, just in the proposed budget, 40,000. I think that's what it was this year too. And, that's been put in for next year also. As he's trying to,
How many traffic signals are they? Because I think they're like, what, 45,000 to replace each? And they're- Is that correct? I mean, we're gonna do like two, I mean, how many are we looking? Are we just looking at doing 2 a year, or what is the?
I don't have the exact number. I don't know if Public Works.
They're looking at 2 a year. 2 a year? My thought on that is just, as the years go by, it's gonna get more expensive to replace that, so I mean, you can get it done at a cheaper price, might be a better.
Okay, Pat?
we're gonna jump to this page now. The
Mm-hmm.
blue and gold. This is just a general fund summary. Y'all have this in your budget notebook, but this one, if you notice on the front page down at the bottom, there's a figure in red.
Right,
And there's also a couple figures in red on the second page.
right.
What that represents is, since we had the results of the pay study,
Mhm.
Her number was like 1,341,000 or something like that.
Right.
We rounded that to 1.4 million. She is updating a few figures to do with some full-time openings we have right now.
Mhm.
In case we need to hire them at a higher rate because we've done the study. I don't know. She's checking that out. And she sent us, she handed me the other night a spreadsheet by department of pay increases. However, the departments didn't fully line up with the budget. For instance, she just had a number for public works, which that's fine. But in our budget, I need it broken down between streets,
Mhm.
solid waste, and stormwater.
Mhm.
And then there was some stuff kind of like that on the Parks and Rec. So she's working on that, and I think Stacy's working on that. And so she's hoping to have me specific numbers by department, including matches, Social Security and stuff, by Monday. And I say all that to say this. The reason I gave this page out is I added 1.4 million to the expenditures, and I took away 1.4 million from the fund balance. So that's how I came up with, without that in there, we had a 27.3% projected ended fund balance. With that in there is 22.1. And, I'm confident you never say, you can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be more than that, but you want to budget conservatively, so that's, and since I couldn't go in and update every single department, we know what the bottom line number is, so that's how I did that, until we get specifics.
So that 1.4 million includes the 1 million-ish to bump everyone's salaries into their range, and then the COLA, the
Yes.
cost of labor.
Yes. And I will say this, you know, in case somebody took these numbers, added her number, and the final budget ends up being a little more, you always have to add a little bit of extra, and the reason, you would think, oh, payroll's easy, just add up everybody that works there and that's the number. Well, you have to remember, people get longevity. If people have been here, say 25 years, and they get 5 weeks vacation, and they're maxed out on their vacation, and they have to take 2 weeks, but you still have 2 or 3 weeks left, you get that paid out on your anniversary. Say somebody retires and they've got 480 hours of vacation, they could get a $10,000 check when they leave the city.
Yeah.
And they've earned it. I mean, they deserve it.
Yeah.
But that's why my first year here, I was like, I don't understand why these numbers are going over. I've added everybody up. But there's oddball stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So you always have to budget more than just adding up the salaries of the people in the department, because other things add into that. So anyway, hope that makes sense.
Has it always been that way with the city? I mean, that they could just keep adding and adding? I know with the company I worked with before, where you had a certain limit, you could only build up to so many days,
They,
and you had to take it.
There-
Sick leave was the same thing, that you could only do that.
well, I double checked with Alicia this morning, that there is a limit of 480 hours on
Uh-huh.
vacation.
Okay,
And you have to take 2 weeks vacation a year is the way I understand it.
okay.
So if you have, you know, you still have more than 480, that's when you get paid out. And some people might get paid out 1 week that they only took 4 weeks instead of 5, they get paid out 1 week. So anyway, that's some things that can kind of make the numbers look a little different. Plus this recruitment and retention grant that the police department got, which is great. We've had about 2 years now. I don't know the exact, I know every now and then if somebody hits their 1 year, they might get a $2,000 check, or they hit their 2 year, they get 2,500, or the 3 year, maybe 3,000. These aren't exact numbers, it's rough. And the state provides all that money, it doesn't cost us.
Okay.
But it's posted to that department, so you've got to realize, that's why I'm saying I have to over budget a little bit
Okay, all right.
in payroll.
But it's always been that way. That's the answer to my question, right?
Well, we haven't always had the recruitment and retention grant, and I don't know how long
Okay.
I would assume the vacation policy has been in place for years, if that's what you're asking.
All right. Thank you, Kat.
Okay, this 1.4, you're adding that, you're basing that on the presentation that we heard the other. I don't know, Member Blevins had mentioned the fact that we are, or should get another Plan B, Plan C type payroll discussion.
There was something else handed out today. So that's kind of by department. Is that what, I don't know if that's what you're.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping to get it plugged into the departments, but I don't think Kay's got enough information to do that yet. is
I
what
don't have-
I'm hearing.
Breakdown, enough to get it in the departments. We know that's what the grant total is.
Right.
Plus a little bit based on what we just talked about, but, like on that sheet right there, it says Public Works, whatever the number is. But I've gotta have it so I can put it in the budget, broken down between streets, solid waste, and stormwater. And I think there's 4 lines on there that's somehow related to Parks and Rec. When in the budget, we only have 3 departments related to Parks and Rec. So I've gotta know who are those people and how does that need to be, I think. This is accounting nerd stuff, so, we'll get it figured out, but I just don't have it right now. That's what my brother calls it.
Can we stop and go to page 1 for just a moment, for
Absolutely,
my purposes?
yes.
I've been looking at the fund balances and what we've had in the last few years as far as reduction in that. I know we're gonna still be at the end 22.1% or something like that, which I think we're required to keep 20%. But we've gone from fund balance in 7/1/25, about 28 million, down to the one that's estimated on 6/30/27 will be about 12 million. So that's a $16 million difference reduction. And I know we've been dipping into this a lot, for a lot of different projects that we have. The requirement is 20%, is that correct?
That's something that the city passed as a goal.
And I know moving some funds around, like the ARC funds for the flood pumps and all that, $6 million when I first became mayor, some of those things right there. The only thing I'm trying to say on page 1, let's be careful. Let's be careful dipping into those funds. When you get down to the end and there's no funds, what do? You start borrowing money. So we don't want to get to that point if we can. And so I just want us to be aware of that. And as we move through this budget process, if there's, something that's gonna dip even further into that, then we need to be careful about that situation. I want the city of Shelbyville to stay solvent and to be providing and taking care of the taxpayer money like it's supposed to. And we want to provide better services every day if we can, but we just need to watch those dollars and cents as we move forward.
I think the mayor made a good point. Just one point I would make with that though is we don't get a breakdown in here. A lot of government budgets, it's assigned versus unassigned. A lot of this early fund balance in 2025 was probably assigned fund balance like that, like you're talking about flood pumps and stuff. It was already assigned to something. It wasn't a bunch of money just sitting in the bank that was just sitting there that we had available. It was already going out the door and just hadn't left yet. So, yeah.
It bought a ticket.
Yeah, I bought a ticket, but it hadn't quite left the account. So, yeah.
Anyone else?
And I'd add to that, probably the 10 to 12 million of it was ARP funds, rescue funds, COVID
Right.
funds.
Right.
The city of Shelbyville actually made money on COVID and that kind of thing, because we were a small city. Big cities like Nashville hurt.
Right.
But the smaller cities like us, when everybody started buying local, it really helped us, so.
And we hope we get another one of those grants.
Yeah.
You can, yeah.
We just don't want COVID.
We had just received that big $6 million grant for the airport out there. So those things are helping pay where the taxpayer doesn't have to do it. Of course, it comes out of taxpayer money, whether it's county or federal or whatever, it's coming out of taxpayer money. So we're down to that 22.1%. I just want us to be careful in that situation, shifting those funds around and what we're doing. Okay, Scott?
Let me just say a couple more things.
Okay.
If you go back to like the second page of the notes, if you come down to where it says capital detail tab, if you want to go back there to page 50, in the notebook, and one problem with these notebooks, and I forget to do something about it every year, the tabbed pages aren't numbered, so if you flip to one of those, you don't know what page you're on. But anyway, move behind it, you can find them. I was gonna say the highlighted items on page 50 and 51 total 13.3 million, and they're the ones that are, the highlighted ones are the ones included in the budget. So if you see highlighted ones on 50 and 51, they're in the proposed budget. And I also noted that at the bottom of page 51, you see how much of that 13.3 is funded by grants. And also, I believe the county has verbally committed to paying for half of the paving of the tennis courts.
Right.
Or resurfacing, I guess you call it. So that's what is reflected there. And then I just added this in red today, and Paul can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a possibility that our local match on the 6 million may only be 300,000 instead of 600,000. However, since we don't know for sure, we budgeted for the
Right.
600,000.
Right.
So we can keep our fingers crossed on that.
Right. And Paul, you were looking for a grant to try to cover that. Didn't work out?
It's still in the process. It's not available
Okay.
for the
Okay.
next FY.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, if y'all will go to the capital request summary, page 51 in your notebook. And as Kay said, the ones that are being recommended to mayor and city council are highlighted in yellow. But keep in mind, everything listed in here is a need. but the departments came together, all of us met together and thought what would be the best way to approach the mayor and council, because the biggest need is personnel. And that's the reason we're so thankful that you all authorized the pay study. We now have the results of it. And so the department leader said they could make do because they need personnel. We need to keep the good workers we have and be able to attract additional good workers. And this would balance the playing field for the majority of us in this Middle Tennessee area. So that's the reason you see the park, of course, number one is the soccer complex. And in essence, because of the diligence of this city council, Park and Rec director, we're getting a $3 million complex for an investment of local taxpayer dollars, $700,000.
Right.
And that'll be huge and it'll pay for itself within years.
Absolutely.
Kay, our city treasurer, already mentioned the resurfacing of the tennis court. And again, that was a great deal worked out between city and county. And it's a win-win for all of us. Dropping on down, the city council committed to replacing the gym equipment. We're in year 2. So that's the reason. I'm gonna let Kay or Paul explain the airport, and then we'll flip back to page 1 because I jumped ahead on parks. But the airport is kind of complex, and you can see the majority of that is going to be paid with federal money.
Yeah.
Then jumping back to IT department, the Starlink fell over internet is a safety net for us because, as you all know, the world revolves around the internet service. Without it, we're in trouble. So that's a priority. And I think you all kind of prioritize the flood funds, if I'm not mistaken, in the strategic plan. Of course, that's in there. Police department, they're continuing to upgrade their fleet. You can see 3 surplus vehicles sitting out here at the side that's getting ready to go. They needed 3, but because of personnel, they said they get by with 2. But the detective Ford Ranger pickup is badly needed because if I'm not mistaken, that's like a 2000 model, 2001 or something. It's running on rubber bands and duct tape.
Okay. May I? How many folks are you short right now in the police department? 3, 4?
Full strength. The next Tuesday, we should be full strength.
Okay. Do we have vehicles for those people that you hire?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Then dropping down, you see streets has some significant needs, but again, in hopes of the pay study being implemented, he said he could make do. Solid waste to help with personnel. We agreed with the route wire, software, and then of course cemetery. And please stop me if y'all have any questions to detail.
A question back to the police thing. I mean, I know it kind of goes with everything, but when we surplus these vehicles, do we have an account for each of the departments? And when they're surplusing their vehicles, why wouldn't we put that money that they're getting from the surplus back towards them so they can use it to purchase something in the future?
It just goes to fund balance because y'all have to appropriate it if they buy something in the future, so we don't really have separate accounts for every department.
Is there a reason why? I mean, I'm just asking, like, because if the police department surplus 5 cars and they get, I don't know, I know they're not going, but I mean, like $75,000, why wouldn't they put that into that and then that could go towards their vehicles the next time and it would decrease their capital?
And you could do that if you wanted to, but the money to buy the new ones is coming from the city, so until we recoup that, that's not really excess money for a department.
Excess, I'm just saying it could go towards another vehicle, it could just be like you know, part of the,
Yeah.
I was just.
Which in essence it does, because we pull all this stuff we're buying from fund balance.
Right.
But you're saying you would like
So we just put it
earmark?
all back into fund
Yes.
balance. So,
Yes.
okay.
So everybody gets out of that one.
Everybody does. So
Pretty
even if the police surplus 75,000 and streets surplus is 20, if streets needs 100,000, we take it from the 75 and the 20 that was put back in.
Yeah, and we kind of do that on insurance recoveries too. I do try to give them back if they crash a car and then they've had to do maintenance in the police budget. I'll give them their insurance recovery back into their operating budget for maintenance or repair of other vehicles. We've just never tracked it that way. I mean, if you want me to track it that way, I can figure out how to do it.
Question. If
Yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
that's. Because I know that sometimes, you know, we have a hard time looking at it and going, okay, they need 130,000 for 2 Ford Explorers, but, you know, they may have surplus something and gotten, for 3 years, gotten X amount of dollars. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just.
It depends on how you look at it. It's not, it,
In defense of Kay, she's struggling for words. She's a one-man show.
I know.
You can get as micromanaged and detailed as you want in the budget, but if you can either track it in the fund balance or you can track it at the department level, that just puts more work on her to track it at the department level, if that's what we want. But, you know,
I just want.
we're already hurting for personnel as it is.
Yeah.
I don't want, and she works long hours and overnights and things that we don't see.
No, I was just wondering if there was a process to know, you know, if there was a process to know what came in from this or that. I mean, no, don't add anything
But I'm-
to your plate.
I'll do whatever the council wants me to do.
Well, and one benefit to the way that it's being done right now, and this is a testament to Kay and our department leaders. Using the example you used, if 75,000 from police sales goes into the pot, 25,000 from public works, and then we get around the table in our staff meeting, and public works needs 100,000. Usually, from the staff level, we're like, yeah, that's kind of a bigger priority right now. So you've got a good team working on this,
Yeah.
and we balance it out, and then it's your all's ultimate decision. We try to bring a unified front before we come to this. So you all aren't bickering among yourselves. So,
And I'll do it however y'all want to do it.
No, I just didn't know if there was a place that I just was missing that I was looking at to see how much.
I understand where you're coming from. But if there's not any more questions on that, we did.
Did you have a question? I thought you were gonna say something. I'm sorry. Yeah. No,
I'm good. I don't want any more work in front of
I'll do whatever.
Everybody else good? Let's move on then.
All right, moving on, we've already touched on the cemetery. Council allocated funds last year, it made a big difference, so we're asking for more or less the same amount to keep the improvements going there. We did touch on animal control and need for incinerators. It did state in the recommendations.
I just
I
thought,
would say at this point, if you don't mind, I'm really proud of Ben and what he's doing at the cemetery. Where's he at? There he is. In using trustee. And I got a chance to visit with those folks the other day out there, and they're doing a good job. But Ben is saving the city a lot of money, and it's giving these folks an opportunity to learn some new skills and maybe take them with them.
I just thought of one thing I was gonna mention. The Routeware software, I put it in capital, which was probably a mistake on my part. If y'all approve that, I would like to put it in their operating budget, because that's normally where software goes for these departments. And so it's really not yes, it's over 5,000, but it's software. So like the police software, our software, it's an operating, so with y'all's permission, if y'all approve that, I would like to move that to the solid waste budget over here, so.
Is that something that's gonna be a yearly expense of 58,000, or is this up front?
I think there's a yearly fee, but I don't know.
There is a year's fee.
But not to this extent. They could just maintenance fee that.
It's a maintenance fee.
I don't know how much the maintenance fee is. But, I do need to reclassify that, that's my fault.
Okay.
Okay, in the back section, under the personnel tab. Page 78. Everybody,
Sounds like Campbell turned in. Everybody turn to page 78, we're gonna sing.
okay.
Personnel request.
Animal control has already been discussed, and it's my understanding the consensus is to table it and then try to work on committee with the county.
Right. Yes.
So moving back to athletics, this is another unique situation where we can improve services for not that big of a cost. Kate, can you please touch on the part-time and how it all plays out?
And let me throw this out, and this applies to any new position. We never know if we're gonna hire somebody that's single or married, and we're certainly not gonna ask them that question in the interview. But if somebody has children or a spouse, you know, it might cost the city double for their health insurance. So I always try to do the estimate, assuming they have a spouse or they're gonna cover somebody. I don't consider it's gonna be a family coverage, which is really high. I kind of pick middle ground. So sometimes these numbers are not gonna be as much as it looks like they're gonna be, because I have to assume they have a member they're gonna cover. But anyway, aside from that, and Trevor may want to talk about this too, but they're wanting to add or change a part-time position to a full-time position for the assistant athletic coordinator. I think that's to help, you know, with the new soccer complex that's opening, just other things they need to do. And he said, as an option, they could eliminate 2 children program leaders at the rec center that I think he said possibly they weren't getting a lot of use, possibly. I don't want to misspeak, so let's let Trevor.
We're not currently that we had an idea to have part-time children.
Come on up, yes, Trevor.
Sorry,
Thank you.
You're not,
we had
state your name and for the record.
a couple years back. This is back when Mike was still the department head here. He had an idea of providing childcare in the afternoon hours for working parents to be able to bring in kids, and we'd watch those kids while they're working out or swimming or whatever it is that they're doing. And that program, although we've tried very hard to publicize it, to put it out there to the public and that kind of thing, has been underutilized. So as an option to save a little bit of money, and you don't have to do it. I mean, you can fully fund the full-time assistant athletic coordinator if you'd like. But if you feel like you need to save the money, that's fine as well. We have an option here to eliminate these 2 positions that would save an additional around $25,000 that could be put into this full-time position and then costing the city a lot less money to be able to have a full-time position to help the athletics department. It's growing. We're doing more programming. Of course, you guys all know about the soccer complex, and we want to really utilize tourism dollars and get tournaments there on those fields. Not only those fields, but also our baseball fields and that kind of thing. So.
Are these 2 positions currently filled? Are we laying somebody off? Are we shifting them to a different place in your department? What are we doing if we do this?
It would be a layoff.
Okay.
Are either of these positions someone that could move into the full-time position?
They would be encouraged to apply. Yeah, just.
As you say, underutilized, or they keep taking care of 10 kids a week, 15, hundreds, a day, week, hour? How can you track it?
There are many days I go back there and there's no one. Per month, I think we're averaging maybe anywhere from 10, maybe 15 throughout the entire month. And I just don't see that is being properly utilized by the public in order to justify the cost of the positions. That's why I offered it as a viable solution.
They're obviously not making a whole lot either, so.
That's
based on this number. Sorry.
Yes, sir. Part time. Yeah, they're in that $13 an hour.
Part-time and no benefits.
Part-time, no benefits.
Yes.
Any more questions on athletics? The next one would be under general government, and as a public information officer, communication manager. And you've been provided a job description on it. And the reason we're requesting this is, again, trying to get the message out of what the city is doing. And so much information that we're not putting our best foot forward. Again, low cost in comparison, but a major impact for me to have weekly information just constantly going through social media and other. One example, after the city council meeting, have a recap is to engage the public. That's one thing that frustration of mine and our fault. We're not reaching the public as much as we should. And that rests with me. I think this option would help us tremendously. And we'd only get better as we go.
This sounds exactly what I do for a living. And can I do this?
We would have to do a background check.
I'll jump in on this since I've already said too much, but I'm gonna jump in on this one anyways. I appreciate the need for this position at some point. Have we checked with other cities our size? I understand what this position is, and Don Aaron does a great job with Metro Police Department in this position. Mount Juliet has a great person in this position. We got 25,000 people here to spend almost $75,000 a year on a public information officer position. While I understand the position and what it does, I don't personally, again, just my opinion, I'm not sure we're quite there yet. The county has somebody in a similar position. They've given them a different job title, but they're actually paying them less than we're proposing here. So I don't know that I could.
Councilman, if I may,
Yeah.
yes, I have checked with other cities and several of them have from 8,000 to 15,000 population. Others, Shelbyville Power has that pays significantly more than what we're offering. And they do a great job getting public engagement and word out. Mention the county. Well, their population, when we segregate the city population, we're 25,000, they're 25,000. So.
Well, Henry just said, we all live in the county, so yeah, there are 50,000.
We do. They have 50,000 people to tax for it.
Yeah, right.
That's
Right.
And I have one other thing to say about this too, because I know last year in the budget, I mean, we have such a hard time understanding the fact that we have animal control and all the issues that we have, and we can't even have an animal control director. But yet we're gonna have a public information officer. So I have a problem with that. We've got a department that needs more help, and we might can have someone like this. It's great with one of these other positions to post on Facebook to get the information out. Not that we don't need this coming down the pipe.
Make a recommendation. Sorry.
Okay.
I had talked to Scott about this multiple times. Some of the companies I've been with, we've had PR, and I did this work for a while with Duff River Electric. I think we need to kind of wait. Since we've joined back to the chamber, we're gonna have a member on the tourism, maybe some communication and all those kind of things. We'll have 3 different council members on that. I would like to try that, or before we hire a permanent person, there's some college grads that are probably out there in summer that we could just kind of see if we've got enough work for that person to do. and maybe just hire somebody part-time and see how that works for the city. There is a lot of things that we do not get out there. I hear about them and I say, well, where did you get that from? And it's not been publicized on our website. It's not been, and social network nowadays, more people are looking at, where that information is. And right now, I would agree with Josh that let's hold off on doing something on this, spending that kind of money. And maybe even look for somebody part-time if we can. I'm with Henry too, shared services. Why can't John do that for us too?
That's part of the education process.
That's exactly right.
Changing.
That's exactly right.
Or if we're looking at potentially, you've not gotten there yet, but the IT position, maybe a part of that position would potentially be managing the social media website to that. I know that Kate needs a lot of help with that help desk.
And that is
And it's a lot. It is a bigger priority, but I mean, maybe if there's a little bit of wiggle room in there, maybe they can help with the social media and the information aspect of it.
Well, we'll definitely kind of cut that out now and explore other options, like possibly someone in terms
Yeah.
that 10 to 20 times.
Yeah.
So, okay. Police department did request, additional 4 officers, but at this time, want to focus on the ones we had, so that's kind of dropped in hopes of pay study being incorporated. Information technology is huge, and I want to make a comment that twice now, our IT person that's been the director has attempted to take some days off. And he'll schedule off 16 hours. He's lucky if he gets 2 free hours because I see him in his office on vacation. And this is a critical thing.
Can I ask a question about the police department? I mean, I know that they said that we're staffed completely right now, but I mean, what was this 4 additional officers for? I mean, I know they've added that, so I mean, is it just for, just because of the growing population? I mean, are we slim without adding any additional officers? Or do we just go?
Refer that to, Chief and
And I
Deputy
got that on the back page.
Chief, Deputy Chief.
I couldn't hear you back here.
Okay,
Just because of the recommended population compared to the number of officers that we have, that's why y'all had requested for to begin with?
Yes, because the ratio was 2.4. We just put it in with a need, just let it.
Have you heard of anything like the old, they used to have, what was it called, the old cops grant or something, where they just fund some years, they stopped that.
Yeah.
And we had the
We utilize that.
Yeah.
we had the VCIF grant years ago, but it's ended too, so
Yeah.
those 3 are back on the city.
that programs like that do help us keep up
Right.
the ratio needed, and eases us into being able to absorb the cost 3 years down the road.
I have a, and I'm not picking, but a couple of things for the, IT. I noticed that there's been a couple of changes, one, just maybe last week, I'm calling City Hall, and it rings the police department, and it scares me to death because I don't wanna, make them think it's an emergency. And so it said the calls are being rerouted to the police department. My point is that we have a lot of moving parts when it comes to IT. I'm hearing complaint after complaint on the aisle after every meeting that, things of that nature are not working properly. And so we're, spending money in doing these things, software and things that are essential that we have to have, true enough. But we need to tweak, I think, some of the things that are going on in our IT department. to make things a lot more smoothly and so that people can understand what's going on in these meetings while they're watching our Gov channel. I mean, you should take care of those things first. I'm not sure about the help desk support tech. I thought we did that last. We didn't. But there's just things, and I think getting the information out as far as that position, that communication specialist thing, I think that's part of IT. Personally, I think keeping that website updated and our Facebook, social media stuff, I think that's just part of it. But I definitely think that some of these things need to be tweaked.
Well, the OWL system was one of the three options I think that we had. We chose to go the cheaper route in the system instead of the more, the better system, which is the system I think that the county has. So we chose that. And so I think that we've just been limited by what the OWL's, performance can be. And so maybe that's another option that we look at too, changing that system.
I think before the purchase of the owl, I think that should have been researched to see if that would certainly be sufficient as to what we're doing. I mean, this is a small room, it's a small body, and I just feel like, maybe the research went in. But that should work a lot better than what it's working.
Yeah, I agree. We were told about a month ago that it wasn't. And my response was, why don't we call the people that we bought it from, get them in here and get them to check it? If it was still sold to us as a good working product, not as a second-rate piece of equipment. So if it's not functioning correctly, why hasn't the company been called and brought back in here to recheck it?
Well, on the playback, it does function correctly. It's just the live that there's a few glitches. And you've noticed our IT director has not been at the last couple of meetings because he's trying to address it as it comes up during the live meeting. But this room is horrible. I mean, you've got concrete blocks walls. And so the acoustics are not going to be good. And then we're putting this burden on one person. And believe me, the needs are insane in IT. This is a connected world now. And it's just, we just need the people to carry it out. The website, several improvements been going on as time allows. But every day there's priorities in each and every department. And IT cannot spend the time needed on the website or tweaking stuff because he's got to stop a virus attack or install other components to make us safe. And the state mandates are like 300 requirements. And we're chipping away at it, but we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, I think adding this position helps a lot of your concerns. Maybe not the OWL concern, but all the rest of them as far as time to work on the website, time to do more updates, a lot of that. Having a second person in that department definitely starts to fix some of that.
Well, if I may,
it's all a money issue.
If I may, that position is more of a writer.
Yeah.
That is exactly what my husband did for years for the city of Murfreesboro. That's a writer. That's not a technical person. Kay doesn't really write what goes on your website necessarily. You want people to write that information and then you hand it to IT and they put it up there for you wherever it needs to go. That's
right.
How that works.
And our
Two different set of skills. Yeah.
The department leaders, I mean, look at the animal control page now. It's got so much better information, higher definition pictures. I mean, improvements are being made, but again, that comes secondary if there's a cyber attack case. With this position, that allows our director to focus on the technical stuff and the help desk put out the small fires like, oh, my printer's not working or I'm out of ink. And believe me, that happens a lot more than you all experienced when we probably had 150 hookups across the city. So again, we can do more. And the department leaders are working with IT to get that information out that they're talking about and improve our service and information to the public.
And you touched on, and one of the things I would agree with you on is the size of this room and the quality of this room. We've had crowds this year that we've had to have out in the foyer area and all of that, those kind of things. I don't know what we'll be looking at for the future, but one of these days, the city of Shelbyville is gonna have a larger room to have these meetings in.
Well, and look how far you came.
Yeah.
I mean, we came from the rec center
Yeah,
3 years ago or
Right.
so.
Yeah.
And so it's getting better.
yeah,
And we're not gonna stop until it's the best it can be.
sure.
And so that's the reason.
We're working on it, yeah.
Come your way to help us move it to the next level.
Lisa?
If just for informational purposes, I understand that you want people to be able to watch it live as it's going on, and I think that's where most of your issues are. Because as somebody who looks at probably 97% of the meetings for some reason or another, I'll go back to check what somebody said, or how it was said, or how the motion was made, to make sure that my minutes are correct. So I'd say there's very few meetings that I do not listen to. And when I'm listening to them in the playback, I hardly ever have any problems. I can hear everybody clearly and hardly ever. I can even tell by the voice who's speaking if they're not on the video. So I think it does work in the playbacks pretty good.
That,
And I understand you won't lie, but I wanted to let that be known since I am, I do have a
But I
perspective.
I agree with Councilmember Christie in, maybe the company can get some type of advice over the phone or phone to take a look at this, to fix this live issue. Is that possible?
We can make the report.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Scott? Okay,
I don't know if y'all wanna know this or not, but just real quick, like page 38, just those little funds right through there. The cable TV fund, that's just, the city got some kind of grant, I think from Charter, maybe 8 years ago or something. So we've been spending 30,000 down the last few years, and that's where we're taking items from if we need something for this room and so forth.
okay.
So that's what that fund is. Kate budgeted 6,000 in case we need it next year. Next page 39, that's budget reserve. In the past, I think the council has, kind of wanted to see about 500,000 in this fund in case of emergencies. Last year, we moved 500,000 out to the general fund. So as it stands currently, there's 43,803 in this fund, that's sitting there if we need it. The other got moved to the general. Next page 40. As I said earlier, our last capital outlay note payment is this next year. I think it's 55,000 plus interest. But we have 319,000 that's going to be sitting in this fund at the end of next year. So that gives us kind of a head start if we have some debt we want to pay on in the future, or if y'all decide you want to use it somewhere else. But
Can we use that like that previous fund? Is it locked into debt, or we could use it in an emergency just like the previous fund? Is it?
That's a good question. I think debt might be more tied than the budget reserve. Because, I know they used to transfer money from here to pay for the flume. Of course, that's over. And technically, I guess we could move some of this money over there to pay that 55,000 this next year. But now the budget reserve, the one on page 39, even the auditors look at that as being part of the general fund. The city just chose to put it kind of aside, so it's kind of a surprise, and you need it, you've got it to pull from and all that, but,
You just mentioned the flume, and you said it's over, so that was for the
The
repairs
note.
that we did, the note.
the note is over.
So is there not a fund that we're getting like a tax on that we're supposed to be putting out in a certain fund?
For the
Like 4
flume?
cents or something, or?
There was discussion of that about 15 years ago, and I don't know what happened to that. In fact, I think that council at that time said once it was paid off, they would lower taxes by 4 cents.
They did, okay.
And I don't think that ever happened.
Okay.
But now, we've had councils come and go. I don't think one council can tie the next council to something. Let's put a signed contract with a vendor.
Yeah, if there was something out there.
I'd heard that. That was prior to me coming back.
All right.
But
There was discussion about that, yeah.
I don't think, just like I don't think y'all's previous council could tell y'all what to do unless it's some contract we have with BFI or, you know, the state or something, or even nonprofits for that matter.
You good?
It's true.
One thing we have been discussing, and hopefully will be presented during next year's budget, is we're looking at these models from other cities, how some of them set funds aside. Somewhat undesignated, or you could designate. But like if we know we're gonna have to have a fire truck in a couple of years, we know we may have to buy right of way in DC Street, or flood. I mean, I don't think we could ever set enough aside to take care of all that without federal help. But if we start the debt reserve back,
Right.
and not only plan it for right now, but start at like a 6 to 10 year plan.
Absolutely.
We're going to set aside this much money.
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to get into a little more detail with that next. Okay.
Yeah, we talked about putting reserves back for the plume and all kinds of different things. We just never know when that situation may come up. Hopefully never, but we know it's coming. We know it's coming, yeah.
This year, when we're sitting here next year, we should have fully, flood pumps.
Yeah.
Peace of mind, ready to go, paid for.
Right.
We should have athletes out on the soccer complex playing. That was checked off.
Right.
So we just keep trying to check a few off.
We've come a long way. We've come a long way. Thank you, Scott. All right, who else? Okay,
Page 41 and 42, or I don't want to cut them short, but that's the police equipment fund and the drug fund. They're for specific items, fines and forfeitures that the police need or may need. So that's 41 and 42. And I know I keep saying real quick, one more thing, but on page 43, you know, you can have those designated funds you're saving for the future, or you can just mentally know, I need the fund balance to be big because we may need it. And we've kind of done that in the State Road Projects Fund. I've kind of been doing that. We know we're gonna need money for Fairfield Pike, for
yes.
some of these other things.
Right.
If you notice, the bottom line fund balance in state road projects
Uh-huh.
is 1.1 million. So, you know, we've kind of built that up by moving money from general over the years and those type things, so that we kind of have that. You don't want to be at zero when you hear Fairfield Pike bid for 5 million, and we have to do our match on that. So we're kind of doing that here. So I just wanted to point out we have that much money in fund balance in state road projects.
Do we think, Scott, next year, the sidewalks, well, we got public works here too, the sidewalks on Madison Street, will we start that project this next year in this budget?
Bid, that project we went out to bid, or the.
It's in NEPA,
Oh,
I think, right now.
Yeah.
It's in NEPA.
And the Fairfield Pike, Gowan Drive, Dairy Street, traffic light situation, will we be working on that this year?
Yeah, absolutely. It
Okay.
is moving and
Okay.
we're getting correspondence back and
Okay.
forth on the right-of-way process,
Okay.
which is between it and NEPA, that's the longest two processes, but we're seeing the finish line.
Do you think that sidewalk, I was talking about Madison Street, will we be working on this year?
Yes, sir.
Seemed like a couple of years ago, we got the $1.2 million grant on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're definitely going to light fire under that.
Okay.
It's been in the NEPA phase for 18 to 24 months.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, folks.
On the other part of Dairy.
That's the grant application.
Okay.
We haven't heard if we got it.
We've not officially heard.
Oh.
But it's a good application. As you can see, there's almost 2.5 million.
Right.
And I wish our council member was here. We're going to get with it.
We're gonna be letting you walk on that, and then go over to the soccer field to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, and they say it's a celebration, we're gonna walk on, right?
let me mention this. You know, y'all have in the past, I don't have it in front of me, but like this year, I think 250,000 for the River View, or whatever it's called. And then we had some money left over in capital projects for Riverview. So there's gonna be some funds that we may not spend by June 30 that y'all have already approved.
Right.
So I will probably need to do a budget amendment next year when I know how much that is. Because you can't just say, hey, finish it by June 30, they've gotta go through a process. So there are some funds on the table that y'all have already approved for that project that won't necessarily be completed by June 30.
Talking about that, is there some funds that, like, if the departments that we've already approved their budget for this year, they have some needs that were not put in the budget for the upcoming year? If it would cover some of their costs of capital that were not put in, could they come also and get that?
Some have done that already.
Could they use that for some of their existing needs there?
We did that on some block holders. Good things. We did that, yeah. And a swing set, I think.
But anything large will of course, discount. When I say large, 30,000.
Anyone else? Trying to make sure no one else has something to say. All right. Have we got something else? Scott? Okay.
Stop.
Hotel motel.
Okay.
You can see on page 45. Page 45. Not so fun, but it's very important. And, you'll see we're projecting 307 in overall revenue. The professional services, you'll see 55,000 designated there. That's part of retail strategies. That's part of the council approved working with that county on the master plan for Shelbyville Village. That was council approved. And then under tourism, slight change, you see the local events grant is still at 40,000. But under that, you see sponsorships. And that's the big, that is like the $10,000 for the Bedford County Christmas, the dollars for the Connecting Community 5K, which brings in people.
Right.
And then 25,000 for the Walking in a Winter Wonderland. That is the celebration ground. It's going to be a 5 to 6 week celebration, and the city will have, it's approved. The city will have their own segment, and it's going to be a phenomenal activity. We're requesting 25,000, but the expenditures will be 1.5 to 1.75 million. But it is going, you talk about putting heads in beds, this will bring people from all over. It's gonna be a blast.
Scott and I talked about this today, this morning. We need to stay on track on the hotel motel fund is what funds the city so that we can use for tourism and things like that. So we need to not just count days. I've heard that term come out. It's so many days that they're having an event. I think what we originally thought when I came on board was we would look at how many visitors we're bringing for the hotel, motel, and RV parks, and all of those kind of different things. So some of the requests that we're getting, we need to really look at how many people it's bringing in to go into a hotel or RV so that we can get funds back on that. So that we put those, see, for every horse show that we have, the city of Shelbyville is giving the Tennessee Walking Horse National Celebration funds to have that show. Not a lot of people are advertising that, but we're giving funds from this hotel motel fund every time they have a show out there. Then Warren is saying, we're going to have this many people that are coming from here, we're going to have this, and we're giving funds so that we can help with those people having that show. Same thing with some of the other events, but let's be careful and make sure that whatever event they're having, they are bringing some people in for the hotel motel. And while we're on that thing, our hotel motel that we're supposed to be getting, have you got any more information on that one
You mean Hampton Inn?
behind the Dunkin' Donuts?
I only know that they just transferred the property a couple weeks ago. They've done the so they're moving along.
Okay,
Um,
they'll build it tomorrow, right?
it'll be done next month.
Go ahead, Scott.
They have had a pre-construction.
Yeah.
Yes, they finalized.
Yeah.
the pre-construction.
But that's where we get those funds from. I mean, if we could fill up, and that helps the people that own the hotels and those kind of things like that. This money is being used for a purpose.
Yes.
Yeah,
So you just said, I just have a question, just to
yeah.
make sure I'm understanding. You're saying that every weekend, so they're booked out 48, 49 weekends or weeks a year. You're saying every week we're giving them something to go towards
No,
that?
I'm saying that every time Warren requests from us that he's got visitors coming for a certain show, then we have not turned him down that I know of, have we?
He usually just requests for the big show.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. So the city of Shelbyville is providing funds for that. A lot of people don't know that. And other events that we're having. We're talking about the Bedford County Fair and some of these other things.
But also, and also with the hotel motel, we've got to have more hotels and more stay space before
Yeah,
we can really rely
Yeah,
on that.
and if we can fill them up for those people that own them, they're making money. The city's making money. All of those kind of things, it kind of pays for itself.
we reinvest.
We good?
Well, a couple more things, Mayor.
Okay.
What we'd like to do is hear discuss nonprofit requests, and then we need directives from city council. Where do we go from here? I mean, we know we've cut the one division, we know we're not doing the full-blown animal control request. But anything else, we need to know so we can be prepared to bring it back to you on Monday. At this time, Kay, you want to touch on
Before Kay does, I know Councilmember Blevins had his hand up.
Oh, okay.
Professional services, could we hear from these retail strategy people? Yes, could you schedule them?
Yes.
I'd like to hear it, I don't know about the rest of the council. But please, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, and what have they done directly or indirectly, actually brought to the city? Because we've been doing this, 2 or 3 years, we've been in partnership with them?
Well, only the full partnership is not even a full year yet. But that is, I can set up a presentation.
Right.
And have them here, and they can explain everything. And some of it, they won't to disclose in a public meeting, but there's a lot going on.
Okay.
And they just got back from the big, annual convention. And we've not received the report yet because we're just now getting their feedback on the ground. But I did get an email saying that Shelbyville was a hot topic, and several national brands are very interested.
Good. I mean, that would just help us when we're asked where those funds are being, I mean,
Yes, sir.
the council needs to just be able to sort of know what they're actually accomplishing.
Agree 100%.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Now, we're not voting today on each one of these items. We're just kind of giving you an idea.
What you want us to bring back to you Monday.
Right,
is gonna be a
right,
big question.
Right. And of course, Scott's always open, so you can contact me anytime. Yeah. Day or night.
I don't know, man. Maybe you, what do we do?
We
4
talk all the
times before
time.
We finally got
Took me 4 or 5 times to talk today. Yeah, there was a lot of things going on. Okay, all right. Anything else, folks?
Yeah, I think I'm jumping ahead because Scott said we're gonna do it after nonprofits, but real quick, I guess, since I already had my hand up. There is one more position I want to consider cutting, which is we had set up, and I think it's still in the budget, a city engineer. We have not had any real response on
We
that.
have now.
Okay, do we have somebody?
Okay,
now?
okay.
Okay,
We have a very strong candidate that.
at what we're offering.
Yes.
Okay.
We're hoping to talk to them in the next week or 2. But if this one doesn't pan out, then yes, that could be consideration.
And that will cover the expenses that we're having to pay for Will and his services, some of those, right?
We'll still need Will,
Some,
but still be cutbacks significantly. And this day to day, like we explained last year, would move us forward significantly on these projects.
Okay. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Since I haven't talked any, we had Margaret Petty with us today from the library.
Yes,
If
uh-huh.
she's awake back there.
Yeah.
And y'all have her letter. She's in attendance in case y'all had any questions or in case she wants to talk about the library or whatever. Since she's here, I had to ask her to come back Monday too.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I'm sure she'd be glad to
Yeah.
for a donation. But does anybody have anything?
Any questions for Margaret? How you coming along on that outdoor?
It should be finished projected mid-July. So as long as, I know we need the rain, but we would like a few breaks. They've been working on it nonstop pretty much until last week, so.
And along with that, council, I guess you remember, we gave the number, what, 164,000 or something last year, but then we gave 10,000 for that outdoor.
To help with the timber.
Is that correct?
We
Am I
did.
correct? Uh-huh.
It's not part of the,
Yeah.
No, it
maintenance effort, but
Yeah.
it's a good side.
Yeah.
So they were at 164,812 in the current budget. And I believe they were asking for 193,358, so.
Okay.
Just, she's here if anybody has any questions or.
We are
You have a brief.
moving and shaking. But our programming is increasing. We, of course, being a level 5 now, we're expected by state standards to be at the level of a Murfreesboro or a Nashville. And we are doing our best to hang in there, but sometimes it's difficult. So we would like to get our staff up to, I hear y'all talking about everybody being up to where they kind of need to be. We would really like to be able to do that and hang in there with the surrounding libraries. It took me 4 months to hire a children's librarian just mainly because the pay wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So, everybody loves their job. We have a great team right now. We're really moving strong. So, and our bookmobile is getting out in the community even more, which is part of that. We are asking for a 16-hour week position to have someone to just do those outreach programs.
Okay.
So,
Anyone else?
Margaret, if I may add, what are the county funds to the lawsuit?
the county funds are, we did ask for the same percentage from them. They're currently, and I have to look at this because I've got too many numbers going through my head. Currently, their funds is 199,435. And this year we asked for 230,347 from them. I always try to keep my requests an even percentage. Because we are growing, as y'all I've sat here and listened, the community's growing. And one of the things I like to kind of point out is that libraries are still very needed, very viable. But we have had to evolve. Where people used to get all of their information from a book, now they are getting it from many other resources. But the library itself has just evolved to offer those resources. We have started doing, we've got a makerspace room, and it has a 3D printer, a 36-inch wide printer that you can do plans or all kinds of stuff on. Churches could use it for posters. And all of those things are, we're having classes to teach people how to use them so that they could potentially come in and check out that room for 2 hours, go in there and do whatever they wanted to do, as long as they have been trained on we've got a Glowforge, which is an engraver. And our computer room is still in use very, very much, but we have noticed a decrease in computers being used in that room, but an increase in people using our Wi-Fi. So with this grant that we're adding the patio with, we are also going to be adding Wi-Fi extenders on the outside of the building that will reach up to a 4 to 5 mile radius,
Okay.
even when we're closed.
All right.
So that is in the works.
Thank you, Mark. Anyone else?
Just gonna sit and talk about it.
I'm close enough.
Anyone else? All right, let's,
Well, Mayor,
Wait a minute.
give us direction.
huh?
Give us
Well,
direction.
wait a minute. We didn't
What you're gonna do.
know that, and can I go back? We're on nonprofits. What about, let's talk about the senior citizen center.
It's page 37.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're asking for the same amount.
they are, listen.
Yeah.
As a part of that board, you know, we had a meeting just a couple of weeks ago that was, each of these meetings are really hard to sit through. The senior citizens have lost a lot of dollars, their transportation. There's just not a lot of activity, the memberships and that type of thing. Of course, it's evolved, and we know that, you know, Cindy and the gang over there at the rec center is doing a fine job, and they do a lot of the activities. There's been a conversation in Sonia maybe cutting her pay, and I mean, they're slimline employees. It's just one other person, to my knowledge, over there and such. And I know they didn't ask for an increase, but I definitely think that $25,000 should be increased. You know, they're in all of this Cooper Steel world over there. We're wanting to move to our next step of speaking addition to the rec center and getting to those talks.
Yeah.
But right now, it's a very serious, dire situation financially at that senior citizen center. We've got a fundraiser planned for, I think, July 16th, spaghetti supper. But you know, this is a day-to-day operation, and they're in dire need of money. And I would ask more than $25,000 on their behalf.
I appreciate that, and I think we should turn our focus to how quick can we make this transition to the better location. I think part of what's hurting that senior center is the location more than anything. We got that request from them just last week, and I think we as a body could probably come up with some money to help with that transition over and above what we get for the property. I'd like to put any money we get towards making that happen sooner rather than later, so we can get them in a better location where they're getting more engagement with the community, where they're able to see more seniors, rather than just throwing more money into this old location that hasn't been working. I don't know how soon we can make that happen. I know we didn't even really make a motion or anything yet at the meeting what we're gonna do with it. I think we said come back next month, maybe with where we landed. Yeah, with more information, but I think focus on that, do that sooner rather than later, and I think that's gonna cost money. I think throw some money at that is the better long-term fix for this, because yeah, we need our senior center to be a lot better than it is right now, but where it's at is not working. I mean, it hasn't worked for a number of years. We've heard that from the director. After COVID, it just fell off, and it never came back, and part of that is where they're at. I think they used to be on the main intersection. They get a lot more engagement there. So I think if we're able to make the transition to our favorite parks director's location over there, they'll thrive more over there. We can work more collaboratively between the parks department and recreation department and the senior center. I think that's
not that's not an overnight thing. They have operational costs and payroll.
Yeah.
You know, between those two people.
I'm hoping we can do that this budget year. I mean, I don't want this to take 2 or 3 years. I'd love it to happen.
Well, what I'd like to do with the council's blessing is by the July meeting, we come in with a request for an RFQ to where we go ahead and get an architect and we work with senior citizens, find out your building needs. We work with Parks and Recreation to find out how we can tack on to that building coexist, and we can launch this pretty quickly. Again, depending on Rankin City County.
And I like that, and I like, I would like to see the county and the city work together on that too. This is senior citizens from all over our county. And, I don't know how we could work that out to where they will be, they're thinking about giving some funds for the tennis courts. Of course, we don't mind sharing those things with everybody in the county. The people in the county are just like city people to me. I mean, they're our neighbors and our friends and all that stuff. If we could work together though, you're talking about adding funds to that building and all of the upkeep of it is the city of Shelbyville. And so we would like to share that with the county, where the county would put in, and then we could really do something spectacular for the senior citizens, if we could do that. Your board has not ever reached out to the county. Tanya's on that board and some other folks there.
No.
They never, okay.
No.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what their contribution is.
Yeah.
On the annual basis.
Yeah.
Councilmember Blevins, what funds are you speaking of going toward that project? What do you mean by that?
Well, we don't even have a dollar figure yet, but obviously we're gonna get, hopefully, an offer on the current building. We're gonna RFQ out a cost for the expansion. And if it comes in and the dollars don't match and we need to put some money towards it or reach out to the county for some money.
Right.
I think for our seniors, we're willing to help them. We're not gonna, if we come up $100,000 short, for instance, I don't think we're gonna, not move the senior center to a better location because of that. I think we'll have to, find some way to fund that. So even if it's reaching out to county, if it's reaching out to private donors, whatever the situation is, we want to make the senior center better and make it work better for the seniors and get into a location where it's more accessible and visible. It's hidden back where it's at. People just they don't see it over there.
Let's not forget that our discussion on this during our study session, staff was going to reach out to Mr. Cooper and make sure that interest is still there.
Yeah.
That's first and foremost.
Right.
So if you're talking about, let's get this thing going, let's get this thing going.
Yeah.
On the other side,
Yes, sir.
and I agree with the senior citizens a great deal, but we just went through where all of our department heads have stepped back from a lot of things that they need to make this city run fluidly. And a lot of dollars that we could spend there. So we went through nonprofits years ago. Of course, that council is no longer, that council agreed that nonprofits, most of them, a lot of them were cut out over the years, but we had a huge list. Henry can remember at one time of we go through, and we decided, because a lot of citizens said, if you're going to take my tax money and give it to nonprofits, you're making decisions for me that should be my decision if I want to take and write a check for a nonprofit. But so there's two ways to look at this, but because we're asking our department heads to do without, and we're talking about let's spend $100,000 to get this going on this thing. And I'm not saying it's not a good thing; it is a good thing. But we as the custodians of the citizens' money, we need to step back and say, what's the most important? And right now, God has asked for us to decide, and by head nod or whatever, on 4 or 5 of these different. And we need to go through them one at a time and say, yes, we want to leave it like you proposed, or we want to take it out, or that's really what we need to be doing. But and I'm not. But I was on the senior citizen board, and I know their problems, and I know their situation, and I saw the results of what they do for the aged people. It's good. So I'm not saying this, but maybe right now let's just decide if we're going to give them the $25,000 again or not. Let's make that decision to Scott and Kay so they know what to do, and we can bring this other up down the road, and let's get the budget done.
You talked about funding or purchasing certain things for our departments. Everything we do, pretty much, other than with the help of grants and things of that nature. That is taxpayers' money. We don't, I don't know, maybe you do, or Councilmember Blevins does, but how many of us can say that we go to our constituents and say, do you want, let's see, now, we're needing to do this and that for the, Public Works Department and purchase a $125,000 piece of equipment. We don't ask them,
That's correct.
but it's their money.
That's right.
So that always happens. We don't ask them these things. We didn't ask them anything in this book.
That's why we're elected. We're the ones supposed to make those decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, but yes.
They've asked us to make those decisions for them. And to keep the.
But we need to be good stewards of their money.
True. But I don't think it's an if we fund the senior.
No, I ain't saying that.
It's,
I'm all for doing the 25,000, but
I'm thinking what you're thinking is just like, say for instance, the police department has for 3 additional or 4 additional positions and they're willing to forego that, but, you know, would that be a better speed than this is what I think they're trying to say or things like that. It's not like, they're foregoing that, they can still handle the town or the city as is, but and I know that the senior citizens is very important in working with the rec center. I think they do get a lot of benefits from that. And so to move it there quickly would benefit everyone.
And one thing to keep in mind, this thing is very fluid, very fluid. So give us direction on what to put down right now. And then, just like last year, we didn't have that 10,000 for library budget, but it came to the council approved. Likewise, if something happens to senior citizens, or we can relocate them and help them improve their programming and income, the budget can always be tweaked.
I had 4 or 5 pages of budget amendments this year, so the budget is never the budget. You know, there seems like there's always, you know, stuff that comes up during the year, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay. We need to let Scott and Kay and each one of us know what our feelings are, and what we think our constituents would want us to do that have put us in office. And then we need to come back. When was our next budget meeting? Okay. All right, so we need to be ready to say yes or no and whatever you think on those items and things like that. Is that?
today.
We kind of.
Scott needs answers today.
Yeah, we got them on.
Yeah. What do you need to know?
Well, we've already, everybody agreed we cut the communication. That's cut. The athletics position is good. Any objections?
What's that?
Athletics position.
Sorry.
Athletics position.
Cut the 2 part-time jobs he was talking about, positions and that.
Yeah.
I'm all right with that.
IT help desk.
Absolutely. Yes.
So that more or less takes care of personnel. Anything else?
I'd like to give the library the $190,358 that they're asking for, because it's been many, many years since we've given them an increase. And the majority of the people that really use that are city residents. And they're generally lower income. We talk about senior tax freezes and this, that, and the other. They use that library, use the heck out of it. You see 39,000 people come through the door. That's a lot of folks every day. Because I drive by it all the time. I see there's a parking lot full of people constantly. So, in my opinion, I've always wanted to keep up with the increases they request. That's my ask. And if senior citizens, senior needs $30,000, we give them an extra $5,000, and everybody's kumbaya happy. So, and Josh, we sell the building, and we need more money to make it, the building happen. That's what we're ready to do.
Yeah, fix, come to us.
So how about if we I'll go to your senior center if we can change that to, that library change to 10%, which is actually what the county's doing this year on their budget. They're going up
We have to
10%.
match what the county matches.
They're doing $199.
Yeah.
Well, they're giving more money, but they're doing a 10% increase is what they've got in their
Which
draft.
would be how much? From 164 to how much?
16,000.
Yeah,
All right, I agree with that.
that'd be 180,790.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
30,000 for the seniors.
Yeah, we'll take what we're gonna do in the library. We'll do the 30 on the seniors.
And if that building plan doesn't transpire quick, we're gonna win.
You know where they are.
You know where to find us.
We can always put feelers out to see what we can get. Marilyn, we can always put feelers out to see what we can get for that old building. So we can find out. We can see where we are.
Okay.
Okay, we're getting good directives.
Okay.
Capital request. We saw that it's minimal this year, but in hopes of doing implement the pay study. So any questions or comments or directives on it?
I like where you're at in the book on that person.
What was the difference, and maybe this is a little different on the subject. If cemetery asked for $50,000 for paving, but you're giving it 40, what was the difference on the 10,000?
We wanted to have the extra 5,000%. No, that was just to try to pare it back as much as possible, ma'am, in all seriousness. But again, this is a proposal.
Change it anytime.
We can see how far, and that's based on what he done last year. We just kind of tried to keep it even and made a big impact. Any other questions on capital? Then the last, Kay may have a couple more. The last one, the investment in our personnel. We're gonna do the pay study.
I'm good.
I'm with it.
Yes.
Yes.
There's a sheet handed out today.
Henry's about to say something profound, so we need to wait.
Hung out there next year.
Well, then they'll just see the COLA increase next year.
If we can spend anything, we need to spend it for our employees. That's my thought.
Since I saw this page. Really, and I'm not picking on, I guess I am.
Yeah.
But I'd like to hear the logic from our consultant as to why we went from a department that had roughly 100% or more already in the market index, and now they're gonna be 113% of the market index. When that's the only department that's over 100%, and we had a whole lot of people when we looked at the blue and the green, that whole bunch of the blues jumped up above the 100%. Right? Is that all one department? That's the question.
Well, she said that 3% made that change.
I'm still questioning.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our department head is here, so.
I think I have a good explanation for what that is, because I asked that question too, so, you wanna explain it?
Yeah, Eric, you feel free to jump in. He's kind of the brain man of the department. Two things really, and I think the biggest thing that skews the numbers overall is that we operate, and I'm not trying to be, offensive. I know y'all know how we operate, but just to make it clear, we have minimum staffing, right? We have XYZ people, XYZ piece of equipment, ready to go 24/7. Okay, so the way we maintain that, or the first tool we have in our toolbox to maintain that, is we have part-time firefighters. Okay, we have within the part-time firefighters, we have two pools basically. We have some experienced certified people who aren't interested in a new job or a full-time job. And then we have another pool, within that same group that are people starting off in the fire service that want to work their way into a full-time job. So that person comes in, goes through the hiring process, background checks. We see if they'll work for us and they see if we'll work for them. Because obviously, you know, gear and equipment and all that is such a major expense. So with that being said, our part-time people do not work 1,030 hours a year. Okay, in which they have figured in the study, number one, they're figuring for them to be working that like basically 40 shifts apiece. They're not. Number two, the numbers as far as market index, I think is the correct term, where they're at a higher percentage is because most places don't have a part-time firefighters like we do. Most places, when they have minimum staffing, they have to call in a full-time employee every time and pay them time and a half, which we still do. But our first knee-jerk reaction, or what we try to do to be as thrifty as we can, is use a qualified part-time person to fill that position for that day. Doesn't always happens, but, and also within our budget and within our operating budget, we have our regular payroll and we have a lump sum that we operate that part-time budget out of, where it's not really tied. You know, we have to estimate XYZ hours a year based on vacation, sick time, those schooling, you know, those known factors. We have a guesstimate of how much that's going to be, and it's kind of its own pot of money. Instead of me saying, okay, I've got 10 or part-time, or I've got 20, instead of using a number, we have a budget that constrains that as far as how many we have. Because, you know, sometimes I might have 15, sometimes I might 20, sometimes it might go down to 10. It's just, Stacy will tell you, we're constantly filling and backfilling, hiring from, letting go. That's probably our most fluid line item, is how we do it. So that being said, what we actually budget for that and what they're estimating our expenses to be is, we budget like 80,000. I think our estimated expense just on that alone is 371. But they're looking at it as a part-time employee that's going to work 30 hours a week for 52 weeks out of the year. That's a big thing. Another thing is on my lower ranks of full-time employees, their market index now and in the previous pay study, they were, our lower ranks were at 100% of the market. Okay, and that's a great thing on paper, but it's not a reality. And a good reason for that is the fire service is not standardized, okay, across the board. When you're comparing, we can compare job descriptions, we can compare ranks, we can compare tenure, but every department, if you take 5 different departments, they probably get paid 4 or 5 different ways. So it's what you would have to do to which nobody has the ability of. But if you wanted to compare and I'm talking about my 2912 people, my people that are working on suppression, a 24-hour shift. If you compare my firefighter with a firefighter from XYZ town, those rates are all over the place because there's things like sick time. Sleep time. Some people get paid XYZ if they're called out between these hours, and they get XYZ if they're called out between these hours. Mm-hmm. It's a very muddled, non-standard world, I guess you would say. So that has had them then, and it has had them now at 110 or 106% or 101%. It's just kind of all over the board, but it's had them listed higher, and that is not. It's not the case. We know where we're losing people, and like so. With that being said, Mr. Henry, we all know that we're what kind of age gap of experienced people we're losing, And that's why. And one of the things, just for instance, most places classify firefighters as firefighter 1, firefighter 2. And that used to, when I started, that meant something because you had to be in the fire service for a year to get your practicals to go to school to be able to test for 1. Once you got firefighter 1, you had to wait another year. And so it was kind of a tenure process. But now the way we have the state academy and the way things have changed in the fire service world, because we also have a large number of volunteer fire organizations across the state. So in trying to help those guys get certified, and it's kind of low, I don't say it's lower to standard as far as knowledge wise, but it's took out that tenure. So some places, most places still have a firefighter 1 or a firefighter 2 pay grade, but that might be a 6-month person as compared to, you know, a more tenured person. So it's really hard unless you had everybody's W-2s to look at. You couldn't really tell what they're making.
And I appreciate you cheerleading for the fire department. I know that's, and that may get you to your budget numbers, but I still have a problem. And I think I'd like for her to explain it, is how that one department could be that much different than the others when nobody else is, there's only 1 or 2 that even, one, maybe that's even close to 100%. How that pie chart she showed would translate back down to the department level. It just didn't, there must be very few individuals in that, what's called the blue area, that was way over, it was over the 100%.
Well, I can tell you, I can also say if you compare my middle to upper, has been significantly below. My bottom has been heavy on as far as that market index. But adding those, when we talked about adding those 2 positions for tenure in the firefighter, those 2 bumps there, that shifted up and has brought most of my people, as far as fire service, up closer, because they said your target is 95 to 105%, and it does move my middle ranks especially up into that range significantly. So we did have a significant number of people below that range.
In the red on that pie chart.
Well, red, yellow, brown.
Yeah,
What
right.
we had, when I'm looking at it as the percentages on paper, that we had a large number of people that were in their lower percentile of their job market index. So we were heavy on the lower end.
I'd just like to hear her explain it.
Sure.
At least on the department. Don't want names, or never want names for specific employees.
I think just raise them all up like the fire department. Like Miss Hewin said, and I get rid of the red altogether.
Thank you, Matt. Do you have anything else? Okay.
Just, are y'all wanting to keep the property tax in the budget at the certified rate?
I do.
We've got a consensus unless anybody has any additional information.
Get the figures.
Ready to adjourn?
Yeah.